Hello, and thank you for joining us today for this industry breakout session, 5 Steps to Migrate Your Scholarly Journal to a New Platform, brought to you by Allen Press. My name is Maria Preston-Cargill, and I lead marketing and client services for Allen Press, and I'll be your presenter today. I'm joined by Kasey, Embers, Manager of Composition and Managing Editing Services, and who will be our moderator for today's session. And Kasey and I really hope that you'll participate by chatting your questions to us at any time during the session. Just type your question into the chat box window and Kasey will reply live. If for any reason we don't cover something today that you're curious about, or if you just have a question for us at any time, feel free to stop by and visit us at our virtual booth here at the SSP meeting, or you're welcome to email us at any time at hello@allenpress.com. So before we get started today, just a quick word about Allen Press, who many of you may already be familiar with. Allen Press has been providing a full suite of author-to-reader services for many years now to independent publishers throughout the United States and internationally. Our team supports scholarly publishers throughout the life cycle of a manuscript, starting with submission and continuing through all phases of editing, ultimately ending up with online or print publication. And of course, we'll talk quite a bit today about the online publishing step in the process. In 2018, Allen Press formed a partnership with Silverchair, which allowed us to offer the very newest in digital publishing technology. And as you might expect, we learned quite a bit as we migrated from our old provider's platform to Silverchair. And to any of our customers who might be joining us today, we very much thank you for your patience and support during that migration process, which really wrapped up last November. So the result of our partnership was the creation of the Meridian digital platform for publishing scholarly journals. Meridian is designed especially for independent society and association publishers, and what it does is it combines Silverchair's state-of-the-art technology and platform architecture with full content support from our service team, which is headquartered in Lawrence, Kansas. Today, Meridian hosts 138 journals and 38 book series from 95 publishers. So every day, that platform is making thousands of articles available to readers around the world. As you might expect, we frequently receive questions from independent publishers about the migration process, and many of them wonder just how do you tackle a project as big as migrating their journal from one platform to another. It is generally a major undertaking for most of our clients. Of course, cost is a consideration, but you also have to take into consideration impact on your staff's time and resources, and ultimately weigh all of that against what's the benefit to your publishing program in the long run. In other words, is it worth it? So if this is how you feel when you think about the idea of moving your journal to a new platform, today's session is just for you. So 5 Steps to Migrate Your Journal to a New Website is a basic guide to help publishers identify just what do you do when you are moving a journal to a new platform. And also, what should you expect from your platform provider, who will really be your partner in the project. So today, the 5 steps that we're going to cover are determining what content you want to move, what people data you need to move, what kinds of reporting needs you have, what should you do about your site's branding, how it looks and feels, and of course, how should you go about notifying everybody that needs to know you're making such a significant change. So let's dive in. In step 1, this is where we consider just what do you want to move. And this is all about creating a content inventory. So by far the most important thing as you build a new site is just like moving your house. You want to make sure that you don't lose anything along the way. So we very much recommend that publishers take a detailed inventory of all article content that they have, and that they consider just how many articles and issues do they have that need to migrate. Really do take time to stop and list them out. Consider what format or multiple formats your content may be in, such as PDF or full text and metadata. Next, think about, are there any special collections or supplemental issues that need to be moved? Again, it may sound tedious, but if you create that inventory now, it's going to help your migration team and your new provider really understand the full scope of what you have to move, and eventually it will help them plan for where each content type will live on your new platform. Also keep in mind that a site migration is going to affect your preprints or articles that you publish ahead of print. So if you have an issue in progress workflow, again, carefully consider the impact of a site transition to this article type. And your new provider will have guidance for you as well. Next, review the parts of your website that generally remain the same, like submission guidelines, instructions for authors, or maybe how to submit a manuscript. You may also hear this type of content referred to as static, or content that typically doesn't change very often. Checking your website's usage statistics using tools like Google Analytics, these are easily accessible ways to objectively see just what content your viewers are using or not using. So anecdotally, when you start a project like this, you might feel like you know what your viewers typically gravitate towards, but when you objectively look at the analytics, you may find some things that surprise you. Ultimately, are there any pages that really just aren't relevant any longer and can be recycled? We all know that website content can become stale over time, and a site migration is an excellent time to make a fresh start with new content that your viewers truly want and recycle what isn't being used. Okay, so let's move on to step 2. That's when we consider the people data. In this step, think about subscribers, or if you publish through a society or association, perhaps members who access the journal as a member benefit. We're going to want to gather all the relevant data about who your subscribers or members are to make sure that we set it up correctly in the new platform. If you sell journal subscriptions to individuals, libraries, or other institutions, again, just like in step 1, a data inventory is very helpful. In this step, a data inventory is going to be the comprehensive list of everyone with current access that will need to be moved over to the new platform. Your provider will help you focus only on moving the necessary data for each person or institution. And they'll also help you keep in mind relevant regulations about managing user data effectively and correctly, such as privacy policies, GDPR, and more. Next, review the models that you use to sell content to members and institutions and document them so that proper access can be set up in the new system. For example, do you offer perpetual access for institutions? If so, you're going to want to make sure that your new provider makes that same type of access available in the new platform. Again, if the journal is a benefit of a society membership, just how long does membership access last? Is there a grace period, perhaps to allow an annual renewal to be processed? So as you summarize all of the people data that needs to be moved, also keep in mind access control. Access control is just what it sounds like, all the ways that a reader can access your journal's content. This might be done through single sign-on, through a referring URL, and also keep in mind that if you're transferring user or institution data, how often is that access control data updated and what data points are you collecting? Your provider will, again, use all of that information to make sure that access transfers smoothly from the old to the new platform. And this brings us to step number 3. So transitioning from one journal platform to another also means a change in the tools that are used to capture journal metrics. So in this step, you determine what reporting you need and what reporting data you're going to move. In most cases, the institution-specific counter reports that we probably all think of immediately when we say journal reporting all of the ones on the old platform are going to expire. So because this data is used so commonly and by probably many of your institutions that subscribe, you have a couple of options to consider. You could migrate historical reports to the new system, or you could also consider alerting the subscribing institutions that they will need to pull reports from the old platform well in advance of it being deactivated. Next, in step 3, you'll want to document what other reports you and your staff or editorial team frequently use. And just a couple of examples that we work with frequently would be article metrics, most cited articles, or just simply understanding what reports your subscribing institutions use most frequently. And so again, the goal of this step is to try and have as minimal disruption as possible to trend reporting and metrics reporting so that you and all of your stakeholders have as smooth an experience as possible. If you collect site-wide metrics from Google Analytics or maybe another analytics package, do plan to incorporate your site IDs into the new platform, again, so those metrics can continue with as little disruption as possible. And so we come to step number 4, determining your site's look, feel, and branding. Our Meridian project manager, Kevin Meinershagen, he really likes this step, and he says that it should be like getting a fresh coat of paint. Ideally, your new site should look and feel better to you and to everyone who uses it. Your readers and other stakeholders are going to expect that the new site will be easier to navigate and easier to read. This is a great time to think about how your current site reflects on your organization. Do you want the new site to resemble the old site in terms of color, key imagery, logo placement, or maybe your brand has already outgrown your website and it's grown past what the site reflects and really you need to go in a brand new direction. So what you and your platform vendor do together is to make sure that your new site is as readable and as accessible as possible. And keeping things in mind, such as color and imagery, is very important to making your site accessible. This is really a great time to put reader and stakeholder feedback to good use. So think about questions or even complaints that you've received from viewers, maybe trying to find content on your current site. Maybe there's something missing that they've been looking for. Now's a great time to think about how to add that. Make a wish list. Include features that maybe you've seen on other websites that you've liked and you'd like to take advantage of the same. If you really want to dig into your reader preferences, this could be a great time to conduct a reader survey using an easy tool like SurveyMonkey. And ask readers what they like and don't like about your current site. Again, great to have some more objective data about what readers really find useful so that you and your new provider can plan to really make improvements that people want. And remember, you're not alone in this project. So your platform support team can help you determine a branding strategy that will really extend your publication's lifecycle well into the future. And so we come to the 5th and final step in the process, communicate your move. This is where you plan communication to all of the affected stakeholders, your readers, society or association members, and let's not forget search engines and aggregators. No matter how smooth your platform migration goes, there is going to be some measure of disruption for your staff and your readers. So you'll want to carefully explain ahead of time why you're making the change and what benefits each of these groups can expect from new features, and overall, again, like Kevin Meinershagen, our project manager, says, hopefully a smoother and improved user interface throughout. So in order to communicate effectively, you'll want to have a channel-specific plan so that you can notify all of your readers about the impending change. Don't overlook basic things like posting notices on your old site before it sunsets that links to an information page with more information that you can update along the way. When is the site expected to be launched? Maybe what are a couple of new key features readers can look forward to? Of course, you can contact members, subscribers, directly through email about how the migration will affect them. And eventually, Right before you go live, using your provider's experience and knowledge, you're going to want to give everyone a heads up about any technical hurdles like a password reset or perhaps how to save new content alerts before the site goes live. And the goal of all this is to, of course, minimize any reader frustration and possibly even minimize help desk tickets so that the migration goes as smoothly as possible. Last but not least, I mentioned search engine aggregators and SEO. Your new platform team is going to be very familiar with steps required by Google, Google Scholar, and many other downstream organizations that receive your content, such as Crossref or Clarivate, PubMed. Each one has slightly different requirements for notification, and your new platform provider is going to be an excellent resource to make sure that no one is left out of the message. For most providers, this is a very standardized process, so be sure and lean on them for help in this area. We hope this session has given you a good roadmap of steps to consider if you're mulling a journal migration or a journal platform change. Yes, we know it's a big project, and we believe with methodical planning that you can make the most of your resources and especially take advantage of the experience and industry knowledge of your provider. This checklist summarizes a few of the high-level items that I've mentioned today and things that you can expect your provider to support you on before, during, and after your new site goes live. If you're curious about what the Silverchair or Allen Press platform called Meridian can do for your publication, check out the short video on our website, allenpress.com/Meridian. Thank you for joining us today, and especially thanks to those of you who chatted us questions during the session. If you have questions about your website or about Meridian, please reach out to us here at our virtual booth at SSP, where you might see Barbara or Elizabeth, or we welcome your questions anytime at hello@allenpress.com. Thank you.